Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. An appeals court sided with the Department of Justice in its investigation of classified documents taken from Mar-a-Lago. David Spunt has the latest from the Justice Department.
Former President Donald Trump is dealing with a new legal setback. An appeals court ruled in favor of the Justice Department. The ruling will allow prosecutors to regain access to the highly sensitive documents taken from Mar-a-Lago last month.
The 11th Circuit basically said, look, we're not that impressed with the former president's argument that he declassified these records.
The ruling also impacts the power of the special master. Judge Raymond Dearie will no longer have access to those roughly 100 classified documents. He is, however, tasked with reviewing the materials taken by the FBI that may be covered by claims of attorney-client privilege or even executive privilege. The former president has long argued he declassified the documents he took with him to Florida after leaving the White House early last year.
I don't think this is prosecutable. Under the Presidential Records Act, there's no retribution or prosecution. You're supposed to negotiate.
Trump is also facing a civil lawsuit in New York. Attorney General Letitia James accuses Trump and the Trump Organization of inflating assets for years in order to get better financial treatment from banks. She's seeking $250 million in restitution. Some legal experts are skeptical of the lawsuit.
The thing that you expect to find in a massive fraud case is an array of victims. And one thing I think that is startling about this is that there's no victim identified.
James also sent a referral to federal prosecutors and the IRS. At the Department of Justice, David Spunt, Fox News.
Steuben County is warning its veterans about a new scam. Veterans in New York are being contacted by an Arizona company called DD214 Direct. This company offers copies of veterans' discharge papers for fees that can be over $100. The Steuben County Clerk's Office says that discharge papers will always be available through the office, no fees attached. The Pennsylvania Department of Aging is reminding residents that the Medicare enrollment period is coming up. The annual enrollment period for Medicare beneficiaries begins October 15th and ends December 17th. The department offers free objective health benefits counseling to help you through the many plans and forms Medicare has to offer. For more information, visit the website on your screen. The Chemung County real estate market has fallen over the last year. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg has more.
A few months ago, the federal interest rate was raised. As a result, the housing market began to stall in Chemung County. The effect of the housing market stall can be seen between the comparison of the market from this year to last year.
That's really where the most direct and immediate impact of higher interest rates is felt, is directly in the housing market. And the housing market is a very important part of the economy.
Realtor.com has compiled data for the housing market in Chemung County from last June to June this year. Some of the standout statistics include the number of sales in the county is down 2%, and the average price of houses sold is down almost 1%. While these numbers may seem low, they become more concerning when you compare the market in August from this year to last. The average listing price is $133,500. This is up from the last couple of months, which shows the market may be rebounding. But that number is down 16% from this time last year. Houses are also staying on the market 20% longer from last month. So as listing prices are rising, the amount of time they are staying on the market has increased. Now the market may be starting to recover, but most experts say that buying a house won't get any easier. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Chemung County.
Unemployment claims ticked up last week. The Labor Department says initial claims for jobless benefits rose to 213,000. Analysts say companies are hanging on to their workers after hiring struggles in the past year. Continuing claims fell to 1.37 million. 1 year ago, about 11 million Americans were collecting unemployment benefits. The Horseheads Walmart will stop using paper bags next month. The move comes a few years after New York State put a ban on plastic bags. The policy will go into effect beginning October 1st. Customers will have to bring their own reusable bags to the store. A tornado was confirmed in Steuben County earlier this week. The National Weather Service confirmed a tornado hit the town of Wayland on Monday night. Winds peaked at 90 miles per hour and the tornado traveled nearly 2 miles. There have been no reported fatalities. The Caribbean continues struggling with recovery from Hurricane Fiona, and the storm isn't over yet. It's swelled into a Category 4 storm, and it could gain even more strength as it moves over the Atlantic. Robert Ray tells us where the storm is headed next.
3 days after devastating the Caribbean, Hurricane Fiona continues gaining strength. It's now churning across the Atlantic and is expected to pass by Bermuda early Friday. Forecasters warn it will bring high surf, storm surges, and heavy rainfall. But its impact won't be as bad as Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, where flooding and landslides devastated communities.
It was very strong as it passed through here. Very strong. It destroyed the majority of homes.
The back part of the house collapsed. We lost all our clothes, groceries, and everything in the wooden part of the house.
Despite recovery efforts, thousands remain without power and running water. In Puerto Rico, the National Guard began distributing water out of trucks. Power crews have been working around the clock to restore electricity. And local leaders say it's a tough task as some areas are still being assessed for damage.
In many towns on the island, particularly in southern Puerto Rico, there is serious, significant damage to the electrical grid. In those towns, it is going to take longer.
Meanwhile, island residents have begun cleaning up and lining up for basic necessities.
This isn't easy, but you have to keep fighting, right? As long as God gives us life.
On Wednesday, President Biden declared a major disaster declaration to help with the recovery efforts. In Hamilton Parish, Bermuda, Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
It's time now for Big Fox's Pet of the Week. Chica was in the Big Fox studio today and is looking for her forever home.
Big Fox's Pet of the Week is back, and this week we have Chica with us, who is up for adoption. Chica was surrendered to Paws and Purrs by her former owners, as they felt they couldn't give her the time and the attention she deserves.
We don't judge. When people need help, we try to help them.
While Chica's breed is unknown, one look at her face and her size, and you can take a guess.
She's about 1.5 years, 2 years old. She appears to be a pug Chihuahua mix.
Don't let that frown fool you either. Her foster parent says she loves to be around folks and will even jump over baby gates to be with those she loves.
Loves to play, good with other dogs, loves toys, good with kids. She is scheduled Monday to go get all of her vetting and vaccine and everything done. She is already scheduled to be fixed in 2 weeks and will be available for adoption in about 3 weeks.
While Chica isn't ready to be immediately adopted, applications for her are open. For more information about Chica or any of the other animals that Paws and Purrs has up for adoption, you can visit pawsandpurrs.org. And that's with a Z at the end of both words instead of an S. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Corning.
Stay with us. Your complete forecast is next, right after this break.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, a powerful cold front has been swinging on through the state, and that is bringing still precipitation as we step through the overnight. Now, looking at the accumulated precipitation in one day, as we haven't gotten today's official reports just yet, due to that we saw most of the rainfall early in those mornings and then lingered it throughout the daytime, but some of those preliminary numbers are bringing in an inch and a half for Elmira, so pretty significant overnight, and then we brought in a few hundredths of an inch to even up to about a tenth of an inch through the daytime under some sporadic showers. Now, we'll keep some of those sporadic showers through the overnight, but note how that strong northwesterly wind is in place, and we see that temperatures are falling into those 40s. We'll even see that a few locations into the morning hours will be within those 30s, so it's going to be a frigid start to the day, but what will be helping us out is some of those stronger winds, limiting the potential of some frost development, but note that that may be possible by Saturday morning. However, what we'll note as we step into our Friday is that the good news is there should be some clearing, maybe a few morning showers, but conditions conditions should be much more pleasant by the afternoon, but still on the cooler side, as Friday is definitely going to be a fall-like day, as today is the fall equinox, which means the sun, I should say, is right beaming over the equator, which means even hours of 12 hours of daylight and nighttime, as that means that we continue to lose daylight and talk about shorter days and cooler temperatures. But what we'll note is that the cooler weather pattern will be in place, especially as we'll see just a day of some brighter skies on Saturday before we return back to some wet weather late on Sunday that could last through much of next week. But trending into what will be a fall-like Friday, you're going to want the extra layers, the warm drinks, as we're seeing that temperature-wise will only climb into those 50s. Now, again, still a few morning showers and some morning cloud cover, but should have some brighter and calmer conditions into the afternoon. But wind potential still noted in the early morning hours, could be up to about 25 miles per hour there into Elmira. Even up through the Finger Lakes, might still see up to about 30 miles per hour. So still a little blustery, which will make these temperatures feel even cooler, almost a little bit of a wind chill in the air, as we'll only see a high of about 57 into Elmira. We're looking at upwards of 15 degrees below average, holding into those 50s across the area. Now, as we step into Saturday morning, this is where some patchy frost may be possible. We drop into those 40s and 30s. With lingering moisture, there is that potential for some fog development, and that could mean freezing fog, especially on some of that vegetation. So we'll have to keep our eye open for that potential there Saturday morning before we'll have some improvement Saturday afternoon, which we'll see some sunshine, bring us back up at least towards those 60s as we'll get out of the 50s and touch down just around 67 into Elmira. So Saturday is the day to get out and enjoy. Although it's a little cooler than average, it might be the best day to get outdoors because we'll see increasing cloud cover and some thunderstorms on Sunday, and then a wet and cooler weather pattern looks to be dominating as we step through next week, as we'll have several short waves move on through to keep us active and cool.
Nissan recalls over 200,000 pickups. Target unveils its holiday hiring plans, and more layoffs for big tech. Grady Trimble has today's business briefs.
Nissan is expanding a recall over a faulty parking system. The automaker says it's recalling over 200,000 pickup trucks. Its Titan and Frontier models could roll away while parked because of a manufacturing flaw. The problem involves a defective part that's supposed to hold the vehicle in place. Nissan is currently working on a fix. Target says it plans to hire 100,000 seasonal workers this holiday season, and for customers, will start offering markdowns the first week of October. Facebook's parent company Meta is quietly planning to slash its staff in an effort to cut costs by 10%. According to the Wall Street Journal, the company reported its costs and expenses went up by over $20 billion year over year in the second quarter of 2022. Google's parent company Alphabet is also reportedly looking to cut costs through layoffs. Meanwhile, Google is testing a new feature that'll allow users to scrub their personal information from web searches. The Remove Result button lets users request that pages containing their phone numbers, home addresses, bank accounts, and medical records be removed from appearing in searches. Google says the tool is meant to allow users to control their personal information. That's business. I'm Grady Trimble.
Walmart is hiring workers for the holiday season, but there will be fewer positions to fill this year. The retail giant says it's planning to hire about 40,000 seasonal workers. But before that, Walmart says it will offer its current employees more hours. This year's holiday hiring goal is dramatically lower than last year's, which was 150,000 seasonal workers. Walmart says it's hiring fewer people because it has a better number of staff this year for its operations. It's being dubbed the Farm of the Future. Anita Vogel has a look at the sustainable efforts to use less land, water, and energy, while also using state-of-the-art technology to grow crops at low costs. The new efforts are helping farmers grow enough food in the face of ongoing climate change.
Ongoing climate change resulting in warmer seasons and prolonged drought continues impacting the world and its farmers. The crisis has some ingenious minds in Egypt using the latest technology to create the farm of the future, a farm not only resistant to climate change, but one that could also help the planet, instead of straining already scarce resources. Farmers say it starts with using alternative soil.
We use a product called cocoa peat, which is grinded coconut pith, to grow our crops in an environment free from disease, rot, bacteria, or any other harmful elements from the soil.
Seedlings planted in the cocoa peat then grow inside bags made from recycled bottles. You also won't find any pesticides being used here. Recycled water also flows to the plants when they need it, preventing precious water and land from being wasted and contaminated. The farm also has facilities where crops grow vertically in water with help from some special lights.
It is very environmentally friendly. It consumes around 20 liters of water weekly, and it is operated by solar panels installed on top of the container.
With all these sustainable techniques, one might think these vegetables sell for high prices. But farm owners say the technology helps them grow 10 to 15 times more crops using a small amount of land and workers, helping to keep costs low.
Still ahead, some police are using new sensory tools to help them with crisis calls. That story and more coming up. Police officers in at least one department in Arizona are using some new sensory tools to help them on crisis calls. Irene Snyder has more.
And this officer says she knows firsthand from family experience how this type of sensory equipment can really help someone in a crisis, someone with autism or with other disabilities or anxiety. And equipping all the officers in the department with this type of equipment, they say really will help change some lives.
People were calling in saying there was a young man that looked disoriented and in trouble.
Officer Rachel De La Torre has a son with special needs. So when she responded to this crisis call for a man with special needs, she knew just what to do.
That he was stimming, and he was, which is something that people when they're on the autism spectrum will often do when there's sensory overload to try to calm themselves down.
So Officer De La Torre pulled out a calming strip, one of the items she uses for her son to help calm him down.
Because they're small, they have like a sandpaper texture. They're really good for people who are experiencing any kind of anxiety.
And it worked. Since then, the Queen Creek Police Department decided to equip all officers with sensory items to help in a crisis.
Really, the light bulb went off. I myself have two children that are autistic or are on the spectrum, and I have lots of different tools to help them through their day, and it didn't dawn on me that we could bring those into this environment.
That kit includes calming strips along with several textured balls. Ray Morris organized Dads for Special Kids and has a son on the spectrum. He says these sensory items are crucial.
It's very important. It's having that device, that equipment for that community, that culture. That's like if you go into a deaf community and you don't have an American Sign Language interpreter, are you going to be able to communicate with them?
And the goal for every crisis call is to connect.
Sometimes eye contact and words speaking is not the best way to communicate. So finding ways to communicate to people wherever they're at.
And that man with special needs who this officer met a couple months ago has since been helped, and they were able to find his caseworker.
Is there a better way to gauge death risk than body mass index? Scientists at University College Cork's College of Medicine and Health in Cork, Ireland, say in a study that measuring waist-to-hip ratio is a better predictor of early death risk. The researchers say body mass index, or BMI, does not consider where fat is stored. BMI takes a weight-to-height calculation with a range that's considered healthy. But waist-to-hip ratio looks at abdominal fats, including visceral fat around organs. The lower a waist-to-hip ratio is, the lower the mortality risk. If you experience bad dreams, and lots of them, and you're in midlife, you could be at a higher risk for dementia. University of Birmingham, England researchers say in a study that middle-aged people who have frequent bad dreams were 4 times more likely to have cognitive decline over the next decade compared to those who do not often have nightmares. For the elderly, those with frequent bad dreams were twice as likely to later have dementia. One possibility is that bad sleep leads to a buildup of proteins associated with dementia. Student loan debt continues to take a toll on many Americans' mental health. One online education program, ELVTR, surveyed 2,000 Americans. That survey found that 54% of participants say their mental health issues are linked to their student debt. Anxiety was the main mental health condition that those surveyed say they experienced. Some also say they experienced depression, panic attacks, or insomnia. Stay with us. We'll have more right after the break. We want to leave you with a smile. Living out at sea is a little easier now, and without yachts, thanks to a Panama-based company. The company, called Ocean Builders, makes sea pods which are eco-friendly. They're billed as restorative floating homes and are made for seaside destination locations. The pods sit 8 feet above water and are luxuriously designed, and their designs are said to help create underwater ecosystems below the homes. The floating homes start at $295,000 and could go to $1.5 million. The company says 100 custom pods will be ready by the end of 2023. Those look pretty cool. I'm Scott Beadle. Thanks so much for watching.